Welcome to Just Three Workplace Gurus, a podcast about the real world of work. I'm Mike.
I'm Amy.
I'm Vivienne.
Today we are welcoming back our good friend Samantha Rembo, who is our sort of HR guru. But we want to talk a little bit about the world of retirement or semi-retirement. And the reason is, and I've alluded to this in a couple of other podcasts, that I semi-retired in September of 2025. And there were a lot of things that I've always wanted to do during retirement, so I don't know if I'd call it that. We thought it'd be really interesting to talk about how we think about retirement or this phase of our lives as compared to maybe how our parents and our grandparents retired. Because I got a lot of stuff I want to do, and to me, that isn't retirement. So uh, open it up to the gang. Like, what do you think about this? First of all, I have to say, when I told Amy and Vivienne that I was doing this in September, like I'm quitting the job and I'm going to work on the podcast and this, and this, they both actually said to me, are we supposed to be happy about this? Like they didn't know exactly how to judge it. And so we've talked about it a lot, obviously, since then, because they're both still working full time, which I am so supportive of. But this gives me a chance to help us be a little bit, move the podcast forward is kind of one of the things on my list.
No,
Anyway,
and you
opening
asked
it
a
up.
good question, but before we delve in, first of all, I want to welcome you back, Samantha. You were with us with our bullying in the workplace episode. So if anybody wants to check that episode out, it was really, really powerful and informative. And I know you've been up to something. So this sort of follows the theme because Michael, I like to think of retirement the way my husband, who's sort of planning his exit slowly over time. He calls it evolution or evolving. And Serena Williams was the one who coined that phrase. When she was, quote, retiring from tennis, she said, I'm not retiring, I'm evolving. So Samantha, it would be great just to hear what you've been up to since we last spoke to you. And then maybe your take on retirement, because in the HR world, I'm sure that's a big piece of what you may perhaps help people transition or re-enter. Because sometimes people retire and then they come back like you did, Mike, a couple of times. So yeah, so Samantha. Okay.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be back. Always the most exciting topics. So, a lot around retirement now. And, I've been, I guess, also semi retired for a couple of years now. But recently I've kicked off a new venture with a partner, an ex-colleague and friend. And so we've created Elevated Assistance. And what that is about is elevating the work and the role of the executive assistant. So the impact that an EA has on a leader, a team, an organization,
Huge.
company is so great. They can make or break it. They are the eyes and ears of that organization. And they're one of the most underdeveloped segments of talent. You always hear about, oh, training and coaching for leaders and executives. Well, what about the people who actually support them? How do we enable them to become strategic assistants and business partners and not just task oriented? So, part of our program is building capability in EAs, building their confidence in different things like strategic assistant mindset, business acumen, and org intelligence, really truly understanding the business you support to get a better sense of what they're solving for, the customers, the power of community, because it really takes a village to support a team, an organization, no matter what you're doing and no matter what role you're in. There's always partnerships that are needed. And then AI. So many tools out there. People are scared to use them. They think it's going to replace them. The AI tools can be your best friend. They will be your executive assistant if you use them properly.
I'm a fan. I'm a user. But
Fantastic. So yeah, that's what we've kind of built together.
nice. So yeah, so just from the kind of the HR world and just being steeped in various sides of sort of business, what is your take, Samantha, on just quote retirement, what it is, and just, kind of Mike, what you were saying, how do we even define retirement, especially since it looks very different for so many people?
Absolutely. I've been thinking a lot about this coming into it because, when you hear retirement and there are these physical anxieties and mental things that go through your mind of what a change from if you were doing every day, 9 to 5, let's say, and then that stops in some way by choice, by not, however it happens, and you find yourself in a place of, wow, I'm maybe not as financially tied, right? I might have some freedom capital, as you might say. And so, one of the things I thought about is it really shifts, it's a pivot to finding what your passions are, whether it's, volunteering or something else. But I've kind of came up, I don't know if I came up with the term, but instead of retirement, I think more rewirement.
Love that.
So, retirement suggests the end in a sense,
Yeah.
but modern day, it's really where we're stopping working maybe for a paycheck and start working for a purpose.
Yeah, I think it's easy to like uh retire can be equated with expire. And that's not true. Right?
Right.
Like, oh, I'm not relevant anymore, blah, blah, blah. So rewirement. Basically.
Exactly.
So,
So,
well, and I think for so many of us, there's still work involved. Like I still want to be busy, and I am doing consulting in corporate real estate, and I hope to do more. But I've also done things that I'd always wanted to do and never could do. Like I signed up to be a poll worker during the election in November, and I worked for 4 days, and they pay you. You have to be trained, and you have to, you get paid. It was kind of funny. Those were really long days, and election day itself was 14 hours. And my daughter said to me, "That's a lot of time, Dad. Are you going to be okay?" And I said, "I'm not working. So if I work 14 hours on Tuesday, I think it will be fine." I'm going to work an event at a resort here in February that will also be long days, but I think really fun. I'm thinking about I'd love to work part-time in a tasting room. Like I want to be busy. I want to have a reason to
Yeah,
get up in the morning and go do things. But it is I think it's an adjustment for the family, certainly an
sure.
adjustment for my wife and I, and sort of a rejiggering of responsibilities and who's doing what, and I'm doing more of the shopping and more of the cooking, and I'm going to pay the bills now, which is something she's always done. It changes all of those dynamics as well, and I think the biggest surprise to me is that suddenly your friendship situation changes because a lot of my friends were work related friends and they're still working. So if I'm free and I want to go have lunch with somebody, they're not necessarily free to do that.
That
So I
I've
realize
wondered
I have,
about that. Yeah.
yeah, and I think I have to find
Retired
new
friends.
friendship. Yeah, I have to get more, like I have to find new people to hang out with, and I don't know what that looks like yet. So it changes everything. And there were a lot of things I didn't think about that now I'm thinking about. And it is admittedly, I don't know if lonely is the right word, but it's like it kind of messes you up. For a while, I had serious FOMO about the office. Like I wanted to go to work because I miss
Yeah.
my friends and my
Yeah.
team. Things have changed where I work, so that's kind of helped in that a lot of what I know isn't there anymore. But it's still trying to find I think it's finding belonging, finding how to connect with people, which is certainly not helping in my office every day. So there's
It's interesting 'cause I feel like there's this social component. If you have a household, it's going to change the household. I also think it ties into identity. Like my husband is, working with
yes,
his team to transition things so over time he can step away or be more in an advisory role or whatever it's going to be. And had a big conversation with his staff to start talking about what this is going to look like. With an earshot, I was like, that sounds like it went well. And I said, how did you feel? And he goes, good and miserable at the same time. I've been doing this. This is my company for 30 whatever years. And like, I don't know who I'm going to
yes.
be without it. And like, I can envision the same thing. So both you, Mike and Samantha, sounds like you have, I mean, Samantha, you now have a new entity going. So would you say you're semi-retired, not retired? Like what stage are you in?
so, with after 25 plus years of working and goal achieving and learning and developing along the way, there is so much information. And you get to this point and you think, well, I don't want to just stop, right? Even though I don't have a day to day job, let's say, my brain, I still have things to give back. And so that's where trying to find outlets to take the good parts, right? The things I didn't enjoy doing in the past, I don't need to do that anymore. But I can take the good parts of it, which in my mind is building capability and others helping people outside of this one piece. I volunteer at the food bank. I'm on the
Mm,
board of a nonprofit. So there I'm able to help with the strategy, help with recruiting new staff for them and still being involved and putting my experience to use. Whether or not, some is paid and some is not paid, but it's my choice now on where I spend my time or
mm,
how I spend
mm.
my time. And so I think for me, the weird part, if I had the right opportunity came my way, I would consider going back full time somewhere for the
Yeah,
right thing because I
yeah.
would approach it a lot differently now based on
Interesting.
all of my experience, right? Having a break, and it was a mind messer, I guess. There's other words I could use here, but when I first kind of stopped working and it is that I should be doing something. I need to be doing something.
Mm.
What's wrong? And to your point, Mike, when other people around you are still working, I mean, I'm 50. Traditionally, right? Retirement doesn't happen for quite some
Yeah,
time.
you're young. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so to have, I worked hard to get to this point now, and I made choices along the way and made, whether it was sacrifice or I didn't, need the new car. I don't need the things. And when you think about where you're trying to get to and what the goals are, my goal now is to be able to, as soon as my husband retires in just a couple of years, like that we can go travel. Right, that we just don't have to worry and I can work when I want to. I can volunteer when I want to. I can help out when I want to. I could take a project. I could take work. I do consulting, right? I consider
So
that
you have
still.
agency again
Yeah.
over your time, it sounds like. And Mike,
Yes.
do you feel that too? To
Very
have
much.
agency over your time? Yeah.
Yes, very much. I'm still struggling. I mean, Samantha's been doing it a little longer than I have. I'm still struggling with how I use my day efficiently. And I think that's just a work thing. Like you're used to managing your day and now everybody leaves the house and I'm like, okay, what thing am I going to do? And I would like to be more organized. I had intended to be more organized at this point than I am. So I still have work to do there.
But isn't
You
it
said
nice to
something,
not be on a schedule too, Mike?
It's
What'd
so
you say,
weird,
Amy?
right?
Because I
yes,
would
but
think
I'm not good at
working.
sitting around. So when I am sitting around, I feel bad about it. Like it eats
See,
You
away at
see,
me. Like I need
it's
to
so
get
can't
up
feel
and
interesting.
bad about it. That's
You
the
can't,
thing, right?
it's who you are. Right.
To sit and
yeah,
be,
but
do nothing
but
for
that's my
one day, it's okay.
Okay. And like,
personality, Sam. You know that.
I know.
you know,
I
my
used to be.
my mother retired at 66. She'd been working since she's 12, literally. And I remember coming home over to her house and like, I don't know, it was 4 in the afternoon, bed wasn't made, and her hair was all like this. And maybe I've told this story before, I don't know. But I remember saying, Mom, are you okay? She goes, I'm great. I'm like, it's 4 o'clock. You're not still in your pajamas. And she's like, exactly. She said, I've been working since I'm 12. This is the first time in my life, if I want to sleep till noon, I'll sleep till noon. If I want to eat, well, she was so into this. I was like, because I thought, oh gosh, is she depressed? Is she this? And she was just exercising her new freedom, really. And then she sort of got into a different routine ultimately. And she says, I'll do what I want when I want. And I was like, wow, that feels so far away from my life. But anyway, so people are different,
I
right?
get that. I do get that. I think that's a personality question,
Of
right?
course,
Who are
of
you as a
course.
person?
Yeah.
My
Samantha, you said
brother-in-law,
something that's, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Viv. You said something a few minutes ago that struck me. One of the differences, I think, between us and our parents and grandparents is the evolution of work. We are a knowledge society. And so you said something about I have all this in my head. If you were a farmer or a factory worker or something that was more manual labor, to retire is to stop physical labor. It's a little harder when you're a knowledge person who uses so much effort in work, like we all have. That's a different way of stopping working because you have all this stuff in your head. There's a
I'm sorry, can I counter you for 1 second? Because I know
sure.
some people who were in quote trades and they retired and then they have, he's like, I have all this skill, I have all this business experience, I have all this whatever, and was just as lost as the rest of us. And actually wound up doing freelance stuff on the side because didn't really want to stop. So I think this is applicable no matter what you do. Really.
There's a
Anyway, that's my
there's a there's a writer, sort of knowledge guy named Chip Conley who started the Joie
yeah.
de Vivre hotel chain. And I've read a couple of his books, and he has started something called the Modern Elder Academy. Someday I would love Chip to come on the podcast. And Chip talks a lot about what we have to offer in what he considers the second half of our working life. So if you live to be 80 or 90 and you've been working since you were 20 or whatever, you have so much to offer because of exactly what you said. No matter what you do for a living, you have something to offer people. And
Absolutely.
how do you do that? And he's a huge proponent of that philosophy of the second half of your working life or adult life and how you can contribute and how much you can offer, which I think is a really cool philosophy. And that has stuck with me. I think that's, I first heard him speak probably 10 or 12 years ago, and it sort of gelled in my head. And I think is part of the reason that I have all this thinking around what I want to do with my time, and I do want to still be busy as long as I can do it.
I mean, Samantha, I'm curious, just from their HR background, like offboarding people. I mean, what have you heard, or like just people's experience? Or I'm just curious if there's any insights you've got there from watching others go through something like this.
Yeah, to Mike's point, everyone is so different. Everybody has their own goals for what retirement looks like for them or when they're deciding to leave and they feel they're in a place where they can shift from what they've been focusing on for so long. And I think there's so much influence when we look at our parents and when or how they retired or what their thing was. My mom was special ed teacher, and she didn't retire until she was about 73 years old, 74. So she really
Awesome.
like the end. And unfortunately, my dad passed early in his 60s. And so,
Mhm.
but he always was working, right? And traveling. And so it's these things also that you see in your own world that influence decisions you make along the way to some people aren't even thinking about it. They're so just, I have to get through the next day. And so it is a luxury to be able to even think about the
That's
after.
true. That is very true.
Right. I know people who they just plan on working up until the last day, right? It's they're in a certain trade or job or whatever it is. And I think we were so surrounded. I know all of us on, the tech side and these big companies, and they do give amazing benefits and excellent retirement plans, companies that provide 401k or stock, right? In the moment, people are thinking, oh, wow, I got that. That's money. Let's go spend. Well, if you want to last a little longer, how do you not do that, right? Again, it's your own philosophies around money and spending and time and where you want to do things. So to Mike's point, there's so many different projects he wants to do. My husband can't wait to retire. He has so many projects that he wants to be able to do. And I hear that a lot. But, I also have seen so many people who have gotten to a certain point in their career, they're satisfied, and now they want to take those skills and reintroduce them in a different way. And again, it's not for the profit of it, it's
Mm,
not for the making money, it's for the feeling of giving back and adding value in some way. So the people that I've talked to that have kind of really made the crossover, it's an adjustment no matter what, because you have to adjust something along the way. And Mike, also you talked about even in relationships, right? So when I pulled back from working, I took on more things in the house, right? Because he is working still full time. So, are you ready? Is your family ready to understand what that means? I've heard a lot of women say, well, they're around more and that's not fun, but know,
or it is fun. It
yeah,
depends.
work huggy, right? I think if you both are, that's part of the challenge. When one of you in a relationship
Yeah.
is, and the other
Yeah.
isn't,
That's hard. It can be
right?
hard.
You want to get to obviously ideal, like both ready and could do whatever. Does that
I
answer
do
your
Amy,
question?
remember when I was young and some of my friends' fathers retired. and a lot of the mothers weren't working. The father retired and came home, and the wife got a job because she couldn't stand to be at home with him. So
She needed distance. Right.
I got to
That's
get out
very
of the
funny.
house.
That's very funny. Well, there's a whole article on women in particular. And it related it back to hormone balances, which was very fascinating. That like, and again, this is biology. Whether it applies to everybody, I don't know. But the gist of this article was there's a lot of men who reach a certain stage in their life and they're like, all right, whether it's testosterone level, I don't know. But, levels off, could even go down. And the idea of retirement is very welcome physically, mentally, blah, blah, blah. And there are women where actually levels go up. And there are a lot of women, and it's also, hey, my kids are out of the house and I have time now and I can focus different, who actually start careers in their 50s, 60s and go strong. So that's kind of interesting. And I don't know. And Amy, I don't know what your experiences is with your family retiring. What was modeled for you? And like when you think of
it's a
retirement,
very
is it
hot
like,
topic at my house right now,
tell
actually.
me.
And we're not of the right age to be retiring. So I guess there's never a right age, but we have a very expensive lifestyle right now with 2 kids in college. So to me, it is not the right age to be retiring.
That is not even on the radar. Okay, I hear you.
So it is a hot topic because my husband has had some health issues. And
Oh, yeah.
so he wants to make sure that he lives life to the fullest. And maybe what he's doing for work is pretty stressful. And how do you change that mindset? So it is a big topic in our house right now versus myself, who I love what I do. And I can never see myself retiring. I am going to be, Samantha, like your mom. If that's the last thing I do is I'm
Until
still
they show you
doing
the
this.
door.
Yeah, exactly. Because I enjoy what I do. Is it stressful? Absolutely. Does it take up a lot of my time? Yes. But
Yeah.
I think if I was to retire, I would drive everybody around me crazy because I have to I have a lot of energy. And if I was just at home trying to find other things to do, it would be a honey-do list that is 2 miles long, and I'd probably be a big nag.
Well, I think
So
like that's what you said you're struggling with a bit. I don't know. I love what I do so much and I love my team so much that like I can't fathom not the excitement of the day, but I can also see other things swooping right in to take its place 10 years from now, whatever the day is. Where like, okay, piano playing and I got some composing to do and I got writing to do. And Mike, you were saying that I want to get back to painting, I want to get to other stuff. So availability of time is a biggie.
I am entertained, though, by what people do find themselves doing. My brother worked for the fire department, so you get to retire really early and you get to get full pension, right? So his lifestyle is about the same.
So, yeah.
He's traveling all over the place, which I'm super envious. He's one who got an RV and I mean, they're doing such great things. They have grandchildren. And it's just really fun to watch. But one of the things that he does, and Samantha, I heard you say, is the working at the food pantry. There's so many people that are doing that right now. And I think that's like a wonderful thing. And Mike, you talk about building a community. He has built a strong community. I have 2 other friends that are doing it in addition to their job. I love that, giving back. So finding
Yeah,
ways to give back to the community is so rewarding.
it's
And they all
huge.
say it's a workout too. So they tie it into like strength building.
Yeah,
That's
you're
true.
walking around. I mean, the food pantry, and you meet other people. Now, I will say there are more of the traditionally older retirees there,
Mm.
right, coming back. So, funny story, I was there one day and I was talking with someone, and I guess tends to be the people who volunteer at the food bank either are retired and you can physically, based on traditional things of retirement, see that they are older, or people are doing a community service because they've gotten in trouble with the law in some way, and that's one way that they
Interesting.
can do
Interesting.
volunteer hours. So I kind of had to say, no, here by choice, here volunteering, right? Didn't get me in trouble, started retired.
Right.
And they're looking at me like,
No
what
parole
do you
officers.
do?
Why are you here?
Exactly.
What are
Exactly.
you
What do
in
you do?
for?
Yeah. I'm like, no, my choice. Amy, I would love to just hear a little more. You were saying kind of it's the hot topic because you can never see yourself doing it, and he is kind of ready. how does that, how are you feeling about that? Are you okay with him potentially getting to that?
I understand the why, and so I want to fully support that part of it. So I do get that. I understand. I just want to make sure that he fills his time with the right.
I
He
guess
is
Mike's having
spending
a,
his time in ways that he's going to really thoroughly enjoy. Kind of to what Mike was talking about, right? If I'm not home all day, what's he going to be doing? We can't travel the world all the time. We tried that last year, by the way.
While
And it
working.
was a lot of fun, but I can't do that again for a while.
yeah.
2 kids in
Well,
college, right.
Yeah.
in looking at that, right? So now he'll have a lot more free time. So I guess now it becomes, what can you take off your plate and offload to him that you could still be working and not feel as overloaded and stressed?
Right. And he does a lot around here, so it's not
Yeah.
that stressful.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really grateful for the things that he has taken on. For instance, I learned I'm a bad cook. He's a great cook. Happily handed that one over.
Now, but he's still
I'm not
working,
sure I
right?
buy that, Amy, but okay.
Yeah,
Right,
he's
but
still working.
he's
But
still
there's only
working.
2 of us now, so it's a lot our lifestyle's a
Right.
little bit easier.
Right. Right.
Absolutely.
I think that the other interesting challenge in that is, can I do things like I've done a little bit, not traveling, but I've done a little bit of going away, hanging out with friends. I went to visit a friend up north and then spent a few days in Washington State this last week. So I'm doing some things without my wife while she's working at home. And, that's different. We have always done everything together. And suddenly there's this minor shift in that I can go and she can't. I think that's
How does
just,
she feel
I
about
don't know.
that?
Yeah.
I don't think she loves it.
Yeah, that's where I would have some major foam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in the last couple of instances, she made the choice. Like I said, "Do you want to go with me?" And because she could potentially take a couple days, and she preferred not to. So I think it's just a little bit of negotiation about what things we do together and what things we don't.
Yeah. And I think that's the word,
Um,
negotiation.
I did
and
want to
I'm
point out one
free
more
to,
thing, Mike, that you were mentioning and that I worry about too is you want your friends all to be retired when you retire too, right? Like so that you have
Yeah.
that social circle.
yes, but I think you end up clinging to the people who are retired or finding a new group of friends to spend time with, or not. I mean, maybe some people do. I'm very extroverted, so I need that. I need to get out. Funny, a neighbor of mine suggested the other day that I start playing pickleball, and I'm like,
Pickleball's great.
that's the
No, I'll tell you
last.
something.
So much fun.
No,
No,
I'll tell
you'll
you
love
something.
it.
My
Really?
brother-in-law, my brother-in-law is retired 2 years ago, I think. He was the GM of NPR up in Massachusetts and always so busy. Anyway, he's busier now than I've ever seen him. And he goes, I may not be earning money, but I'm now, he started another business. He's in 2 bands. He plays pickleball like a million times a week. So, like you said, Samantha, everybody's different. But
Yeah.
it's almost like he retired, had 2 days off, and then like swooped into this new rhythm of just different things, anyhow.
Yeah.
We
Well,
do
when
have
you think
friends who
about,
retired 2 or 3 years ago, and we never see them. We saw them more when we all were working than when they retired. We never see. They're never home. They're always busy with some activity or
They're
other.
too busy.
Like literally, do never see them. Like they're not. It's almost like they're just gone.
Interesting.
Sorry, Sam.
Samantha, I
I
think you're
interrupted.
going to say something.
yeah, you were talking just in terms of the friends too. I definitely have a lot of friends from past work experiences. And so you have to be more mindful of reaching out, connecting, getting time on a Zoom call just to see their face sometimes. But for those that live not far from me and that are still working, I try to be as flexible as I can. So it's like, hey, I'll come to you. Like one of my best friends lives, 40 minutes north of here and she's working.
Right.
So I'm like, great, let's look at the calendar. When can we do lunch? I'll come closer to you. I'll do the majority of the driving because I can.
Right.
I have the
You
time.
can. Right.
So, but it's more on us because you're not just seeing them every day. I have a small group, my old team, we are just been group texting, okay, we need to get lunch. And usually a Friday works best. So awesome. So, but it is very intentional. It is very much, the people who I have chose to keep in touch with are, just friends in general. For me, a lot of my friends don't live here. So I have a lot back east. And so I don't see them on the regular every day as it is, but it definitely makes you more intentional planning, scheduling, all the things that you need to do. But I could be the more flexible one in the situation. It's like, I want to see
Yeah.
you, I'll come to you.
So I have a question for you, Samantha, as we're sort of coming on time a little bit. If you had to like say, hey, future retiree, from an HR standpoint, as somebody who understands career paths, et cetera, what would you say, like, here's the top 3 things you should really consider to see if you're ready? It could be more than 3 things, but just curious what, like, just help people think this through. Because, sometimes, as you said, it's sudden. You may lose a job or you're planning it, right? Or there's a life event or a health event that's like, you know what, life's short, I'm out, right? But anyway, but just curious from your standpoint.
So the first thing is just really understanding their motivation. Is it just a
Yeah.
matter of I just don't have a job? Do they want a job? Have they enjoyed what they were doing? Is there something passionate that they're passionate about that they haven't done before? Can you get paid to do the thing that you are passionate about? Right. And you always hear people say, oh, how do I get the best of everything and put those together? And so just thinking through and figuring out what are their goals. So everybody has different goals, and that's challenging, of course. But if it's, I want to have the freedom at some point to be able to travel or to not to work or to make choices. And so if that's the case, then I would work backwards from also a
Mm.
financial perspective. It's not about you don't have to be rich, right? But do you have enough to support yourself? Do you have enough ongoing? Can you not have a paycheck for a little bit and be okay with that? Right. And so can you financially pull it off? And what does that look like for you? And it could be maybe just working 2 days a week or 3 days a week and still doing it. Maybe it's working at your favorite restaurant because you want to go and talk with people. Maybe it's something totally different, but your why is different.
Very good point.
Yeah. So it's a totally different why. So it would, where are you mentally? What are your goals? Are you ready? How are you with change? Right? This is a significant shift in change. Not
Well,
everybody's
yeah, no,
doing
that's
it.
very
You
true. It's
know
very,
it.
really, it's transformative. Yeah,
Yeah.
But
Right. And
think people don't do that. I mean, these are great points. I totally
yeah,
agree with you. I think the challenge is people want to get to that goal. At least this is what I'm seeing from others and experiencing myself, but they don't know the consequences of that decision, all of the consequences of the decision. And, the friendships, the relationships, the use of your day, like, how it changes your home life and your relationship with your family. There's a lot that happens in there that I don't think we do talk about, because I think what we talk
yeah.
about is
Or
I want
prep
to be
for.
retired. I want to go do what I want to do. I've worked too hard. Those are all fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But the consequence of those decisions is maybe one of the missing.
Yeah,
It
I
also
think
sounds like the
household discussions are
psychological
important.
side of it, you know?
Yes.
totally, totally
The
psychological.
relationship side. Yeah.
Yeah. But it
Yeah.
could be so exciting, right? It could
Of
be
course.
the fear of the unknown. But again, right? Are you the type of person back in the day when I was recruiting into it and we would be talking about the role and I'm talking to a candidate and I tell them, look, if you're somebody that likes stability and process and nothing's going to change, this is not the place for you, right?
Yeah,
You need
yeah,
to be adaptable. You need to be flexible. Not everything is black and white, right? But if you thrive in that environment, then fantastic, come on
yeah,
in. But
yeah,
it's knowing, and you know that about yourself, right? Like Mike, and Amy, you mentioned, like, I can't not work. Now, I used to always say that, right? I can't imagine. I couldn't, like, what would I do with myself? And it's this thing where I wasn't per se ready for it, but I was ready for it in terms of we're just going to embrace. And it was weird for a long time. But getting over the mental to say, okay, what is my role in my family, right? What do I need to contribute? What's happening there? How are we? What have I done? What choices have I made up until this point?
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
it's adjustment, and it's a new chapter, right? You're not
Yeah.
losing any of your food. They'll get there eventually, right? They're just on a slightly different path, and you can still see them all the other times you saw them. You're just not seeing them every day. So it's when you talk with them, it's like getting all the best out of it. And I'm less of an extrovert. There's like a new word I saw, not an introvert, not an extrovert. But I'm kind of like in the middle. I could turn on and off pretty easily, but I prefer to,
Well, you could
I'm
be
a
an introverted
people.
extrovert or an
Yeah.
extroverted introvert. Right.
And so, but everyone has different needs. You're like, I need to be taught, I need to be around people, with people. And so that a solution for you is different than what it is for me. But again, it's kind of a new self process, because the last time you did this was probably when you were starting your career or maybe switching careers, right? To say, what do I want? We never really revisit along the way of, what do I want next? What does that look
Yeah.
like for me? I don't even think people think, to your point, they just say, I want to be done working.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
The
And
novelty
yet
of
I
it.
knew,
Yeah.
but I
And
knew
with
what I wanted to do.
travel and like remote work for some
Right.
jobs allows you
Yeah.
that COVID, all these flexibilities now that you just never had before.
That's true.
We didn't
That's
even
true.
know.
And
Yeah.
And I'll say one more thing. When my husband first started talking about this notion of like, I think I'm ready to start planning a retirement, my first reaction as the non-retiree was fear. Weird. I got very angry. I just got angry because it was a mask for my anxiety, right? And I was like, "What do you mean retire? Like you can't retire." That's like, and it was this idea that like, oh, like what is that? Like the first fear was financial. Can we do this? B, like, what is that going to mean for us? And you're going to be off having fun. I'm like tied to my desk, and over time, I'm like, no, I'm not afraid of it anymore, and I'm supporting it. But you're right. It's any major change comes with the, and then as you plan, as you digest, as you transition, you know. So it'd be interesting, Mike, a year from now, I don't even know if you'll still be retired. You have a tendency to go back to work, right?
Yeah. I do. Well, and I'll be quite honest in saying
But you can choose now, Mike, right?
I
You
can
can
choose.
choose.
Yes. Yes.
That's
I
a
am
big
interviewing
difference.
because if the right thing comes along,
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I'm not opposed to it,
Or part-time, who knows,
but
right?
I think that's exactly right. I can choose now.
Yeah.
I feel like I have the right to choose.
Mm.
I've been working for 50 years. 51. Well, now 51. I started working in the summertime when I was 14 years old. Amy, you started earlier. What were you, 12 when you
12.
I was
started
babysitting at 12,
Me
thank you.
too.
Yeah.
It's sitting at
Yeah.
12.
Yeah.
That
So,
counts.
I mean, there is a side of me that says I've earned it. Like I worked really, really hard, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think one of the drivers for me certainly, and Samantha, you and I worked together. So tech is stressful and tiring. I've loved it. I've had a great career. I'm very proud of what I've done. I've made lots of friends. I've done good work. I don't know that I want to do it again. It has to be the right fit because
Yeah.
tech is just, I mean,
Intense. It's very intense.
it's tough. Yeah.
And the
I'm
thing
thinking of a lot of things I'm not going to say on the podcast about it, but it's
That's
hard.
okay, but yeah, go ahead, Samantha. Then we should probably think some parting thoughts on this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would say you're now in a position where you can choose, and the job you take will have meet the criteria that you need now in your life. And so that choice, and because you have experience, you can go build something, you can make an impact, you can make a difference. You're going into it
That's
with a lot more confidence as well, to be like, look, I have a choice. I don't have to be here, but I'm going to choose to. This sounds like a great opportunity. And I know I could just jump right back in and love it, but still have that mindset of like, this is a
That's
Yeah.
It's a
so
choice. And
empowering.
maybe that's what we gonna say, Amy?
I said that's so empowering to hear, right?
It's a great way to frame it. If you're lucky enough and are privileged enough to be able to retire and have choice as to when and what you want to do, that's a pretty awesome place to land up. And I hope that's true
Huge.
for all of us and
It
many
is.
and
And
all of our
look, I have
listeners.
no illusions about how fortunate I am. I don't.
But you
This is
got
all
there because
good.
you worked your ass off to get there. No one handed you this, right? Like, keep that in
That's
mind. This isn't
true.
like,
That's true.
I don't deserve it. You did, because you just said you worked 51 years, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is
That
what
goes back to
happened.
my mother, right? I've been working since 1266.
Yes.
I'll get
I can
up
do what I
whenever I
want.
want. But yeah. Well, thank you so much. I hope
Thank-
this had been enlightening for all of you listening. And Mike, we'll have to check back. Both of you, actually. We'll do a part 3 with you, Samantha.
And thank you for indulging this conversation. I've been wanting to do this in September, and I'm glad we got the chance to do it. Sam, thanks so much for joining us. Great having you as always,
Thank
and
you,
I'm sure we'll
Sam.
talk to you again soon.
Thank you
Have a
so
great
much
day,
for
everybody.
having me.
Thanks for
Thanks.
tuning in.